welcome back to my channel. I want to come on and share a quick review of this book, ZAMI, A New Spelling of My Name, a biomythography by AUDRE, LORDE. If you're not familiar with hearing about my book club, the Runwright Reads book club reads books by Caribbean authors. We're also including on that list authors whose parents are Caribbean. So AUDRE, LORDE is not from the Caribbean herself, but her mother is. Because I'm really interested in seeing how that second generation Caribbean background influences an author's writing. And in this one, we see that influence very strongly, so I was really happy that we read this together. This is AUDRE LORDE's origin story. So if you're a fan of her later work, if you've read AUDRE LORDE's writing as an accomplished professor or as an activist for feminism, then you may be interested in her origin story like I was. So I definitely recommend this one to you. So in this one, we meet her within her family circle. And we see her mother's influence very strongly in this early part of her life. And so even though the book is written later in life, when the relationship between mother and daughter probably had become complicated, she still records this deference that she pays to her mother. She writes about her very reverentially, especially in the earlier part of her life. On page 31 in this edition of the book, there's a section called How I Became a Poet. The idiom or proverb that she includes is, wherever the bird with no feet flew, she found trees with no limbs. When the strongest words for what I have to offer come out of me sounding like words I remember from my mother's mouth, then I either have to reassess the meaning of everything I have to say now or re-examine the worth of her old words. Here it seems like she's beginning to look for a definition of herself outside of her mother's identity, and it continues to the next section, which starts, when I was around the age of 4 or 5, I would have given anything I had in the world except my mother in order to have had a friend or a little sister. She would be someone I could talk to and play with, someone close enough in age to me that I would not have to be afraid of her, nor she of me. We would share our secrets with each other. So you can see her still holding strong to that feminine power in her life, but looking for someone outside of her family or outside of that connection, that bond that she has had with her mother up to now, but still not wanting to give up her mother, right? And then later we see, as she starts finding these friends, that her relationship with her peers pulls her away from the bond with her mother, and the relationship becomes complicated. So if you're a fan of reading about complicated mother-daughter stories, then this is definitely the book for you. I really enjoy reading the difference between her relationship with her mom and her relationship with her dad, and how those two things are either her center or her dissonance. I love it. And even though we recognize that her mother does make mistakes in how she treats her, we still have to pay homage to that dynamic force that is her mother, her mother's background, her mother overcoming her own personal challenges to push her daughter, to propel her daughter into living her dreams for her. In this section, we read about a very significant event that happens to Audrey at school. She's one of the only Black children in her class, and something that she has worked very hard for, she doesn't get. And she ascribes it to the prejudice from her classmates, but also from the administrators. And when she comes home to explain her situation to her mother, she expects sympathy, but her mother is very forceful with her, trying to get her to understand that life is not going to give her, a young Black girl in the mid-1950s in New York City, life is not going to give her what she thinks that she wants. And it's not so much what has happened prior, but Audrey's disappointment is in the difference between what she expects from her mother and what she actually gets. As it continues to be today, race is a very important issue in AUDRE LORDE's time. In the mid-1900s in Harlem, New York, Audrey is experiencing prejudice. She's experiencing it from her classmates, from the teachers and the principals at her school. She's seeing favoritism for people of lighter skin and people who are white. But she doesn't expect to learn these harsh lessons at home, and specifically from her mother, who is white passing herself. So the disconnection between her experience and her mother's experience, I think, are very telling in that early part of her story, and it becomes something that you see echoing in the later part of this book as well. There's a lot to unpack in this book. There's a lot to experience. This part of her story is occurring in the middle of the 1900s, starting in Harlem and eventually in other parts of New York City and in the tri-state area. And we get to see a little bit of that strong immigrant desire, right? The desire to assimilate, the desire for your children to have better experiences than you do, and also to experience what that is like for the child of the immigrant. So I really enjoyed this book. Definitely want to recommend it to you. If you've read Audre Lorde's later work and enjoyed her writing as a professor and as an activist in the feminist movement, then I think you'll enjoy this one too. So let me know if you've read it, or if you pick it up later, come back to this video. Let me know your thoughts. Would definitely love to chat with you about it. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you'll be back for the next one. Until then, happy reading. Bye.